Just recently, I had the opportunity to go to Atlit detention center where a special Passover was taking place, the reading of diaries from immigrants of the Exodus ship. I caught up with some of the attendees. I'm here in Atlit camp with Yaakov, one of the organizers of the special event that's taking place. Yaakov, what is taking place today?
We call it the Seder. The Seder is a Jewish ceremony in Passover, and we prepared Agadah. How we say Agadah? The telling of the story of Exodus, the old Exodus from Egypt. Now we prepare an Agadah about the Exodus ship. The telling the story of the Exodus 1947 from the diary of Ma'apilim, the immigrant. Okay. And now here we'll read from the diary of the Ma'apilim, some sections.
So you've got many people coming here today who were on the Exodus ship?
80 people.
80 people.
We hope, yeah.
And many of these were on the Exodus ship that came in 1940?
Many. Most of the immigrant people were is very, very old. So we hope we'll be here about 5 immigrants that still alive. Here is one of them, 19-year-old.
Wow.
Very special story.
Is it important to come together to share about all your stories?
Yeah, it's very important. It's the first time that we made it.
Is it emotional as well to come here?
Yeah, very, very emotional. Yeah.
This is a place where we're at. Is actually where a lot of people were detained, isn't it?
Not from the Exodus.
Right.
The Exodus returned to Germany, and here is from other ships.
What is your family story?
Only my mother was on the Exodus. She was about 23 years old, 24. She survived Auschwitz and other camps. And her family was from Transylvania, Romania and Hungary, the same. She came to the Exodus with the group of youth movement, and she was a nurse on the Exodus, volunteer nurse, because she didn't have a license of nurse, only after.
And how were the people treated by the British when they were trying to get into Eretz Israel?
The British took the immigrants from the ship and pushed them to 3 cargo ships and sent them back to Germany. There was a violence when they took the Ma'apilim from the ship. The Ma'apilim was resistance, and the British soldiers and policemen used power to take them.
Were many of them that were sent back actually died by going back?
No, on the ship, 3 people died in the battle with the British. 1 woman died when she gave birth, died on the ship. And in the battle there was, as I said, 3 died. One of them was an American volunteer from the staff, and 2 Ma'apilim, 2 immigrants. One of them 15 years old, and 1 24, and many wounded. The wounded, the British let them stay in hospital in Palestine, now in Israel. About 60 people stay. That badly wounded stay in, not send them back to Germany.
But eventually your mother made it back to here?
Not to it, to hospital.
Oh, she went to hospital?
To hospital in Haifa. Yeah. And if they had a family on the ship, the family sent here to Atlit. And as I said, about 60 people, that's all. And about 4,500 sent back to Germany by the 3 boats, 3 ships.
What happened to those people who were sent back?
The British wanted to send them back to France, but the immigrants refused to leave the boat in France. And after about 3.5 weeks on the ships, in July and August, in the very hot weather, they were on the metal cargo ship. They stay on the ship, and after 3.5 weeks, as I said, they send them back to Germany. All of the time, when they entered the Exodus, and until they returned to Germany, to Hamburg, It's about, they were 60 days on the sea, 60 days. And in Germany, they sent to a British camp close to Hamburg, first to 3 camps, as we say, summer camp, because there was summer, yeah? And after about 2 months, they moved them to a winter camp with better condition.
And eventually did they come here to Palestine, then Eretz Israel?
But not all together.
Yeah.
Many, few here, few there, few people here, few people after 2 months, after 3 months, not together.
And it's important today to remember this, isn't it?
Yeah, very important.
That's what you're doing today, remembering.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm with Menachem. Menachem, share your story, your family story.
Well, my parents are Holocaust survivors. They are both from Warsaw, Poland, and they belong to the Hashomer Hatzair youth movement. After both of them escaped to Russia in the Second World War, after the war, I don't know how did they met again, and they were organized in a group in a kibbutz in Poland, and as a kibbutz in the Shomer Hatzair kibbutz, they gathered in South Germany, waiting to make Aliyah to Israel. The kibbutz was called Bein Gvulot. Bein Gvulot means among the borders. These 2 words are words from a very known Hebrew song, Bein Gvulot, and it was the name of the kibbutz. My parents were friends of that lady. Her name is Yafa. Perhaps she will talk to you later. My mother was pregnant with me when happened the Exodus event. She was in her 7th month pregnancy, and the whole journey with Exodus to Haifa and the return to with the British ships to France and continue to Hamburg, it was in the 8th and the 9th month pregnancy. I was born 2 weeks after the ships have entered the Hamburg harbor. I was born in Peppendorf. It was a British military camp next to Lübeck, and I was born in a Latvian hospital in Lübeck, where I was born. And they stayed like all the refugees in that camp. And then after 2 months, they moved to another camp called Emden, next to the Holland border, something like that. And after I think I was 12 months old, they started the whole movement from South Germany through France to immigrate to Israel. The Independence Day of Israel was 15th of May 48, and we immigrated to Israel in September 48, which means the state was 4 months old. Yeah. And we have come to a camp where all the immigrants gathered, and they were sent to different places in Israel. We have been sent to a little village called Kfar Ono. Today it's a great town with about 45. The population is 45,000 people there, and we still live them in the same place, where all my youth meant, all the elementary school, high school, I passed there. And I have a nice family with 4 kids, and at the moment 13 grandkids, and I am happy with it. I studied chemistry in the university, and I worked as a chemist in a hospital, in pharmaceutical companies, and so on.
How important is it to be here today?
Well, for me, it's not the first time I've been here. I know the history very well. I would say my hobby is to read about the history, especially the history of the modern times. And I know that place. It was important for me to bring the grandkids here to see that place and to have the impression of the whole event. Yeah.
I'm here with Ze'ev at the Atlit Center. Now, Ze'ev, how old are you?
I am 90 years old.
Yeah. And you're here at the Atlit camp. Tell us your...
When I was in Exodus, I was 30 years old.
Tell us a little bit about your family story.
My story, I was born in Budapest in 1934, and I was in the Holocaust in Budapest, and we have many things. My father was killed by the German army. We must take yellow Star of David here. Once when I went in the street, children, Hungarian children, a group of catch me and hit me very hard, and people asked them, for example, many things, and hit me, and people in the street asked the children why. They say, because I am a Jew. They say, continue, you can continue. And after it, 2 German soldiers sent some and saw this and say, you go there, and the children go there. And after it, we were in the house in the yellow market by a yellow Star of David, and they tried to take my mother to Auschwitz, but she succeeded to come back. And after it, we were in a house. There is a certificate to protected. We are protected. The neutral embassy give us certificate that we are protected, like the Swedish or Vatican or something else. And after it, they take the Arrow Cross party. They were with the Hungarian leader, okay? And there was a fascist, very fascist, and they take us to the ghetto, and we were in the ghetto. And in January 1945, the Red Army come to Budapest, and we can go from the ghetto. And after it, we want to go to Israel. Then Eretz Israel, Palestine, then. And my mother didn't agree, but after it was a very big anti-Semitic demonstration in Budapest, then she said, you must, maybe it is better you go to Eretz Israel. And my brother and me go to Israel. We were in Germany almost 2 years. After it, we go to the Exodus. We arrived to France to set harbor, and we boarding in the Exodus. And I think you know about and you know about the Exodus. We were in the Exodus, come back to France, and after it to Germany. And in 1948, I arrived to Israel legally. Okay,
Wow.
I arrived to Ben Shemen. It was an agricultural school. And after it, we were in a kibbutz. There I married with Dora, and we have 3 children, 11 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
It is I think it is I don't know, to the German. They want to destroy us, and it was...
Your meeting here today in Atlit, is this very important for you to be here today?
Absolutely, yes, of course, only read. And I say all the people, all the Jews must live in Israel, even what happened.
I'm with Esther Rubinstein, and she's going to explain her story about the Exodus ship through translation.
Yes, Ken. I was 10 years old I was in a group called Draw. They had a guide and a female guide too. They were like our parents. So we were in a camp in Germany. We were quite a big group. Okay, so my parents were also in the camp, but I was actually with the youth group. I had 2 sisters and a brother. So they were also in the Draw group, but also in some other groups. So she had 2 sisters and a brother who went ahead to Israel before but the British caught them and they sent them to the prison camps in Cyprus. When we were on the ships, when I was on the Exodus ship and then was put on the deportation ships, they told us that we were going to be taken to the camps in Cyprus. They didn't take us to Cyprus. There wouldn't have been space for 4,500 people there. So they built a camp on Cyprus for the Exodus people. So she heard this later. Yeah, she heard this later that they had prepared a camp on Cyprus for the Exodus refugees, but she doesn't know the political reasons why they weren't taken to Cyprus. She knew that her family, her sisters and brother were actually waiting for her in Cyprus. So yeah, the 3 deportation ships were sent to France. Ken. Okay, so she's saying that she was in a group of about 30 children, but also that they were given these conserves, I think it was like jars of jam, I imagine, by the British. They were given something that they had to eat. But these jars, conserves, became a weapon that was used against the British in the battle. They gave them to the older youngsters who were really fighting the British, who boarded the ship.
So when we came up with the Exodus, we came to Israel. They took us
from the ship. So they had a pump with DDT. They were spraying them with DDT as they came off the ship in Hamburg.
Haifa.
Oh, in Haifa, sorry. When they were brought to Haifa, they were sprayed with DDT.
So when we came to Haifa, to the airport, it was, how you say it, a long building, and the English people, they was there, and it was a pompa with DDT. So everyone has the spray of the DDT, and then
you're on the third ship. Yes, Empire Rival. Yeah,
of this ship I was.
Yeah. How was that being sprayed with the DDT? How did that feel for you as a young girl?
I don't remember. So DDT.
So the guides were so helpful. They helped them overcome these very difficult situations.
It was very difficult on the ship, very. It was iron, it was hot, like fire. The English people, to the children, they was nicely a little bit on the English ship. It was one in the day, 1 hour. They put the children and they give them to be on the deck of the ship to see a little bit the sun, and it was many children on the ship. It was many children. The deck was not big, it was small, so 1 hour for these children and then 1 hour for other children.
How long were you on the Exodus for?
Of the Exodus, we was 3 weeks. I think 3 weeks we was of the ship of the English, because we came to Kafrisin. And when we wait in Kafrisin, 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, they say, we prepare a place for you. We prepare a place for you. So we wait. That's what I know. But I was only 10 years. Yeah. And nobody tell me something what's happened. Only the older, they know what's happened. And then when we finished in Cyprus, we go to France.
So the Haganah, when they got to France, the Haganah were in little ships, little boats around the deportation ships, and they were saying, don't get off, don't get off the ship.
We must to come to Israel. Don't go. So nobody goes. It was
Okay, so two people who were ill and a lady who was pregnant got off the ship. Okay, so the food had run out, but the French did give us baguettes and croissants. Okay, so she was saying on the ship they got biscuits from the French, but the biscuits from the English were full of worms.
Baderech.
On the way. That was on the way. Oh, she thinks also the English were also eating these biscuits with worms.
So, the same. It was a biscuitim.
So they're joking when they talk about it. They say those biscuits must have been from the First World War.
So you eventually came to Eretz Israel. Your heart must have been full of joy when you eventually made it here.
Yes. After we was in Hamburg, we came. They take us to the camp Peppendorf. I was in the camp Peppendorf. The Haganah said not to give names. So my certificate. The certificate was my face and 343. This was my number. So if they want something from me, they say 343, come to the office. What I want, the point of the Peppendorf, that it was
watchtowers in Poppendorf. Oh my goodness. So there was a light and they were watching you as you were going to the toilet.
And back.
And so was that because it was unpleasant? Why were they doing that?
Till now it's
very
in my heart. Why? I am so small and I'm alone. Where I can run away. Where I can go.
Cute.
And then I came to Israel after a year, 48. I came to Israel. I go straight to Kibbutz Dafna. It's now out, Kibbutz Dafna, and I was in Kibbutz Dafna.
Wow.
And then when I finished with the Kibbutz Dafna, I was in the army. I finished the army and I married. I study medicine and I am radiology in the X-ray department. I was working 42 years in one hospital. I was the charge of the X-ray department, the head of and I still working. I have 3 daughters.
9 grandchildren and 5 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
I'm 88.
I still working in the breast cancer. Yes, I still working.
Wow. Amazing. Thank
Yes.
you so much for sharing. I'm with Moshe here in Atlit. Now, Moshe, what are you doing here today in Atlit?
It is a story from our family. We come to see all the people and we have happy.
Is it emotional to be here today?
Very much. He didn't sleep in the night. Every time we meet the people, he's very, very, he doesn't sleep and he's very happy to see them again. It's very emotional.
I imagine a lot of you have the same story. What is your story?
He was born on the boat. He came with his father, mother, and sister from the father. Yes, his sister. But her mother died in the Auschwitz, or the mother of the sister. Treblinka. Okay.
My father worked in Treblinka.
Yeah, and the father met.
The job from him is take out all the people dead in the room.
Everyone who died, he took out, and suddenly, of the all, he saw his wife died there. So he ran out. He was very emotional, and he met this wife. She is the mother of Moshe, and he's very happy to be here, to see the people, to talk about it. Of course, second of the survival of the Nazism, second generation.
And the mother no speak nothing.
They can't talk. They didn't tell anything to the children. At night, the father was screaming.
Cry.
My mother also, from Holland. Yes, and he couldn't tell his friends about that his father is crying at night. He was afraid that his friend will laugh at him. so he didn't tell. He became a soldier. He was in the Tzanchanim, the parachute. His father was in the hospital, and one day he came to visit him in the hospital with, the red beret, and his father first time cried and told him that he's so proud of him.
Now I'm not afraid. My father speak to me. When I see you
in the army,
now
I'm quiet.
He
knows that in Israel won't happen like what happened in the Holocaust. After this moment, he spoke many hours about everything.
So it's very, very important for you to get the message that your family have gone through.
He lectured all the schools around our place. Every school give a lecture with photos. Beautiful.
And I'm very happy for this.
Yes.
Is it even more important today after what happened on October the 7th to get the message out?
Yes, very important because, our children are big in the army, and he's very proud now to say, my son is in the army, my son-in-law is in the army, and now he wants to see everything, to show the people what happened. They live with it inside.
And you were actually born on the Exodus ship?
Yes, on the ship. Wow. There are 22 children were born on the ship.
Wow.
The ship.
And they had the breath like the Jews in the hospital of Marseille.
From Marseille, it's coming to Israel.
Yes.
From Israel back to Marseille and back to Germany and They came to Israel.
From the 47, they were shipped to Israel. They didn't let them down, so they went back, and then there were 3 ships, and then they come to Israel.
Were you actually in the detention camp here?
No,
right.
When they come from the ship to Israel,
to Jaffa.
they came, פה נחתתם בעתלית.
לא, בחיפה, אבל...
In Haifa, and then
Jaffa.
they sent to Jaffa to be there in, like caravan or something.
Fantastic story. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
I'm with Yafa here in Atlit. Yafa, tell me your story.
My story is very interesting and very exciting because I was born, if you know, the British sent us back. They wanted us to be in France, back to France, but they sent us back to France on 3 ships, and the way there I was born. But we didn't want to get up at France. We wanted to be in Israel. So the British didn't know what to do, and they sent us on the 3 boats, it wasn't ships, boats, back to Germany, to Hamburg. And as I told you, I was born on one of them, in the Runemat Park, a ship. And why my story is so interesting and exciting? Because 50 years after it, I met the doctor who
gave you birth.
To the world. He was a doctor. He was living in Wales, and he was in Haifa when the Exodus arrived there. And when the British sent us back, he was on the Runemat Park on one of them. I have to tell you that I don't know many children who met the doctor, and it was a meeting that I didn't forget, I think, all my life.
Wow.
It isn't the first time that we hear to tell people about the Exodus. It isn't the first time. I don't know if Itzik show you the Haggadah of Exodus. And in the Haggadah of Exodus, we tell about all the story. I hope that it will be also in English, because now it's only in Hebrew. So many people in the world will know about the story.
Is it important for you to tell your story today?
Yeah. I worked many years as a teacher in the education ministry of Israel. And the story about Exodus is very important because the story makes the feeling why Israel is so important for Jews. Because we haven't another land. It's the only land that is our. And it's very important that the children, students, and everybody will understand it.
It must be very worrying for you today to see that the rise of anti-Semitism in Europe.
Yes, that's the reason that the story of Exodus is really important, because every Jew at the end knows that the only place that he can be safety is here.
In Israel.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.